Beyond excited about this next panel. And one of the things we try to do every year is give people around the country and around the world the opportunity just to get a taste, just to get a sample of what we do here at EntreLeadership Master Series. So all 650 of you, will you help me welcome the 5,000 people watching around the world today? If you are tuning in wherever you are around the world, you're coming into the last day of our EntreLeadership Master Series event. These 650 people signed up to grow themselves, their teams, and their profits by learning the playbook that we've used to grow Ramsey Solutions from a card table in Dave's living room to what is now a 900-person, $200 million organization. And we're going to get into it in this panel. So without any further ado, will you please help me welcome Dave Ramsey, Chris Hogan, and Daniel Tardy. Good to see y'all.
Well, you're the only one that got any hair.
That's right. That's right. I'm not going to say anything to that. Excellent. If y'all do not know, Dave is the founder and CEO of our organization. Daniel Tardy is the executive vice president of our business and leadership spoke. And Chris Hogan is one of our Ramsey personalities, and he has been leading essentially the 4 days of this event in a huge way, teaching the Ramsey playbook. So let's start with a fun one. Ben from Wisconsin says, I have a very young engineering team that is extremely talented but needs mentoring and refinement. How do I communicate urgency and seriousness to them at times without smothering their youthful enthusiasm and their joy of coming to work? We are relatively casual, but we also have to be nimble and get things done.
There's a lot in that question. Engineering firm, it sounds like a young crew who potentially doesn't understand what winning really looks like and the urgency that the founder or the owner is feeling. I know I get out of bed every day feeling like, oh my gosh, there's so much to get done just in this day. I hope the team feels the same sense of urgency that I have, because it's going to take our entire team playing all out just to move down the field. And so I think a lot of it is communicating. A lot of it is telling your team, this is what we all have to do to get where we're going. Having some clear goals that are measurable. It's really powerful to have goals that are measurable and then pacing activity when the team can see it in a way where they go, we're off pace. Every month our sales team has a chart that they look at, and it's by the end of the month, their collective goal, they can see a straight line. If incrementally each day on this graph, we did what we need to do to hit the goal, and then halfway through the month, it's always kind of like, oh, we're off pace. And they rally, and they come together, and they get back to on pace by the end of the month. But when you can see it that way, when you understand this is what winning looks like, it gives you a chance to keep communicating. We're on pace, we're off pace, we're on pace, we're off pace. And so I think just some simple goal setting and letting people know if we're off pace is probably where I'd start.
I think sometimes people see these, videos or articles about some cool corporation, and there's like foosball and cornhole, and nobody really works there. We just come and play every day. And there's kind of this vibe, and I don't want to lose their youthful enthusiasm, and let's make sure we have a cornhole game in the room. And those places may really get some work done. I don't know, but truthfully, that really doesn't jazz people. It's okay to stop and have fun, but what jazzes people is ringing the bell. And I don't care who you are. You score a touchdown, you spike the freaking ball. And everybody else isn't standing in the other end of the end zone playing foosball. They were blocking and tackling, and they were handing off, and they were drawing up plays, and they were doing stuff together in order to get the guy into the end zone, and we scored a touchdown, and everybody else wasn't distracted trying to have fun at work and have youthful enthusiasm. Youthful enthusiasm drive the freaking ball across the line. That's what it does. And so you get the clearly defined goal, and then you jack everybody up on that. Now, after the game's over, yeah, we can break the foosball out. That's fine, or break the cornhole out, or whatever. Take them all out to eat, that kind of stuff. That's fine. But we had one guy working for us, and every time I look up, he was taking his people to ice cream to celebrate something. And he set a goal, and we're going to ice cream. And he comes in one day and he goes, well, we didn't quite make the goal, but we're going to ice cream. And I said, no, you're not. The ice cream is for the goal. You didn't hit the goal. No ice cream. What are you, in 3rd grade? I mean, really? What are you, a socialist? No. You know, you hit the goal. You don't get the ice cream if you don't hit the goal. You know?
No ice.
It's a true story.
No ice.
That is true. I remember that guy. He doesn't work with us anymore. He had a big heart.
He did.
So
he did. He does.
I find, millennials get a bad rap. I have found most millennials.
I love them.
Most millennials really do want to win.
Oh, yeah.
And as leaders, we owe them 3 things. We owe them tracking, which is there's a goal and we're going to track, and you're going to have the ability to see if we're on pace. Training, and some time. If you'll give them clear objectives, you'll train them and say, this is what the job looks like, and you give them your time and availability and time for them to develop the muscle memory and the skill set, I think most people are hungry and they want to win. And if you've given them those things and they're still not winning, then you can have a conversation about whether they should be on the team or not. But a lot of times, I don't know if it's a generational thing or as older leaders, we just go, well, this is just how I do it. Surely they just know. Train yourself. Come up with your own goal. Figure it out. No, we have to teach them as leaders to empower them and activate that engine that's inside them.
I think it's very vital for the leader to understand you are the one controlling the throttle. You are the example. And so if it's game time, the team needs to see you getting ready for game time. And so they're going to follow your example. So not only your words, but your actions are a big deal all the way around. So you need to make sure that you're bringing it and you're showing them and saying, hey, follow me. And no more silence, right? If you see someone not engaged and ready for game time, you got to have a conversation. Just clear, direct, and say, come on, because we need you.
Eric from Michigan asks, I realize that in order for my organization to grow, I need to build an amazing team around me, yet I have a challenging time letting go of control. How can I learn to trust and let others take more responsibility so I don't have to?
I'm a recovering control freak. And here's the thing, that's a human thing. We all want control. We all want certainty that we're going to get the outcomes that we need. But I can give up control when I have confidence that someone else is going to get the result that we want. And we talk about this, Chris taught on this week. You delegate when you trust somebody's competency and their integrity. And so if I know who they are and they're going to do quality work and we share values and I have a track record with this person that they're going to do it the way I'd want it done, and I have a track record that their competency is going to do it at the standard I expect, I've been so pleasantly surprised how many people on our team, Alex, you're one of them, who are so much better at things than I am, and I trust them more now than me doing it myself.
Yeah.
But I can give up control when I can tell that the thing's not going to get out of control.
And as a leader, if you don't have the people that you need to trust just yet, then you need to lean in and to help train and mentor them to help them get to that level. And so this delegation thing is the most misunderstood area of leadership, and it's the most necessary, because as a leader, there are things that only you can be doing. And that's not just working in the business, it's also working on it. So you've got to develop the people around you, or you also need to hire better than what you have. But the status quo won't get you to where you want to go, so you have to make the changes.
You're not micromanaging someone until they've proven they can do it. You're training them. Once they've proven they can do it, and they've proven they can do it a lot, with integrity and competency, which is what we say around our place all the time, exactly what Daniel said, integrity and competency. Once they've proven they can do it, and then you stay involved, then you're a micromanager. Then you're becoming a control freak. And truthfully, most people aren't control freaks. They get accused of, or they're not micromanagers, they get accused of that because they've got people who aren't competent who want to be released, you know? It's like, you know, my son, when he's 16 years old, can't drive a car worth of crap because he's 16 years old, right? And so, Dad, you're a control freak. Yes, you are incompetent. I'm trying to keep you from hurting yourself or someone, you know? So you're going to do it my way until you can do it my way. And then when you can do it my way, then you can leave the driveway by yourself. But that's not control freaking, that's loving someone well.
Can you speak to how do we interview for integrity? How do we find that in the hiring process?
I mean, you can talk to people and try to figure out if they have character by their story. how they got where they are. Are they vulnerable? Are they authentic? Are they telling, are they, if they tell you they're all perfect and shiny, then you know they're a liar, because none of us are. And so, but that's not, integrity really comes out over time. It's proven out. You think you've got someone of character based on you've interfaced with them, but then you put something in front of them, and how they handle it shows integrity. Cloud talks about integrity. The word integrity is not just honesty. It's not that simple. The root word of it is the same root word that you get the word integer from, and an integer, for you math nerds, if you'll remember, is any whole number. It is in no way fractured, meaning they're the same person on Sunday and Friday night and Saturday night and Sunday morning as they are at work. They're not fractured. There's not a work version of them, and then there's some kind of crazy animal on the weekend or something. They're the same person. There's a wholeness to them, and that's more than just honesty. And so you're looking to see, are they fractured somewhere in their life? Are they fractioned? They're not a whole number. And then you watch their behavior when they're on the team.
Yeah,
And
so
and the
I
more,
agree.
the more you're going to turn over to them, the more you have to trust the
I agree with Dave. It's really hard to pick up in an interview process. So here's the hack or the workaround that works really well for us. Figure out how you can get to know these people before they're in the interview. And what we tell our team is that you guys are a bunch of thoroughbreds, and the best place that we're going to find our new team members who have integrity is people you know and are friends with who are also thoroughbreds. So we're kind of crowdsourcing to our team. Watch the people in your life who are friends that you can go, they have integrity. I can vouch for them.
I mean, Alex, you've been with us 4 years, and you're a world-class athlete. You run a marathon in the same speed I run a half marathon in, and it's just, and we've watched you, we've watched your integrity, and so if you bring a guy in and you go, this guy, this gal is somebody we can trust. That's crowdsourcing, getting a thoroughbred to tell you that this is the way it is.
Well, and that's one of the things I learned when I started at our organization within the first year, is that charisma was not enough. You had to be consistent.
No, because we don't count BS, we count results.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I learned right there. Chris, how about you?
Well, I just think that it's really important as a leader that you want to make sure in the interview that you're not doing 90% of the talking. And so I think it gives you a great opportunity to hear their heart when you actually are listening to them talk. And so I would encourage all of you out there, if you've not plugged into the EntreLeadership 12-step hiring process, you definitely want to jump over on All Access and learn this, because it'll save you some headaches. You have an opportunity to ask them some questions, open-ended questions, questions that get people to open up and talk to you. I want you to listen to what they say, but also how they say it. Because as you hire this person that's qualified, you need them to not only have the skill set, but they need to do it in the spirit in which you and your organization want it done. And so that's caring about people.
Adrian asked this question from Hong Kong, and it's directly related to what we've talked about all week. He says, how has your leadership style changed as you progress through different stages of the venture? And relatedly, looking back, what are some things you knew or would have done differently knowing what you know now?
Oh, I'll start because I was a village idiot before I got here. Power hungry, wanting control, and wanting to let everyone know I was in charge. And so looking at that now, the thing that I've learned is that I didn't value people enough. Being a part of Ramsey Solutions, it helped me to understand people matter, right? People represent families. And so how you treat them as a leader, how you grow them, you have an opportunity, right, to have an impact on people's lives. And so what I've learned is that it's important to slow down, gear down. The results matter, but the people do as well.
Not dissimilar from that for me. I've really learned in 15 years of studying under this guy and building a team with our EntreLeadership team that there's really 3 really critical things that leaders have to have, and that's vision and results and relationships. And to the degree I'm deficit in any one of those things, I'm hitting my lid as a leader. And so early on, I think I got the job and was pretty good at the job because I was killing it with results. Come from a sales background. I know how to ring that bell. I know how to drive the ball. I know how to, whether a team's with me or not, independently, I've got enough horsepower, like I'm gonna make it happen. I'll make it rain, I'll get noticed, I'll hit the goal. And that got me on the radar maybe. And then I started realizing that I gotta have vision, and so I started getting good at vision. And I actually feel a lot of regret that for a long season in my leadership, I didn't really get the relationship thing. I didn't really understand how to take off my mask and how to open up my heart and how to authentically connect with the people who are bringing their blood, sweat, and tears to our mission every day, and see them as people and love them inside and outside of the office, and actually authentically figure out how are you doing, and if you're not okay, how can I serve you in a way that's not just you're a part of this overall strategy, that it's really like where I want us to go, and you're a unit of production like we talk about. So for me, the last couple of years and probably the last 3 or 4 years, I've really been convicted and learned how powerful it is and how short life is, way too short to not have meaningful relationships with your team. You still got to have vision, you still got to have results, but what I've realized is that vision and results accelerate by a factor of 10 when you have real relationships.
Yep. When it's a band of brothers and sisters, we'll go into a battle together, and everybody's coming home, and you go in there that way, and it's got a richness of soul. That's good, Daniel. That's really good. I don't know how much. I don't know. Good Lord, I've changed so much. I have no idea.
Hogan and I can talk about.
Yeah, why don't y'all tell? How about change? That'd be funny. That'd probably be more truthful and accurate. Yeah.
I know for a fact he's calmer. Okay? Yeah, Dave
That's true.
Is
That's
much
true.
more calm.
He throws things a lot less these days. It's fantastic.
I'm what?
You throw things at us a lot less these days.
Oh yeah.
No, we never
You
do that.
whiner.
This is what I deal with.
I didn't say sweeter, I said calmer. Okay?
I think he's more calm and more sarcastic simultaneously, but it's good. No, we love it.
But Dave, as fast as we've grown, how do you make sure that you are staying ahead of where the organization is and thinking into the future? Is that something you do naturally?
I think what did change. No, nobody does that naturally. It's an act of intentionality. But I think what I did learn. Because kind of like you were talking about in the early days, I had to do it. I was the product, and I had to make sure everything happened by myself. And then you get some people you start to grow your first layer of leadership, and some people that you can actually delegate to, and they're doing stuff when you're not there, and they're thinking thoughts that are bigger thoughts than you thought. And nowadays it's like so far past that now I almost feel like I've got the cape, and it's like Olay, and all these bulls are just running, man. And it's like they're running the bulls, and I'm trying to get in the doorway because they're all around me. And I'm obviously directing it, but the amount of times I take one of these EVPs like this that sit on our operating board, there's 14 of these guys, and I'm actually somehow down in the weeds with one of them. Something's got to be really screwed up for me to get down in the weeds with one of them on something, because they've already handled it before I even hear about it. And they go, oh, this is what happened, and this is what we did, and we handled it. And so it's more of just kind of herding all of these high-powered thoroughbreds nowadays and letting them do what they're so much better at than I am. You take Jen Severson. She was up here, right? CMO. That woman is just stone cold brilliant. Oh, God, it's embarrassing to be in a room with her and a couple other people, because she just lines up. I shut up and watch it happen and get out of the way, And that's what I do now. I get out of the way.
Very good. Mark asked the question, what's the best way to strike the balance of truth and grace when you need to remove a team member due to incompetence?
I've failed at this for sure. I've gotten it right a few times, and as an organization, I think we've learned a lot that, when in doubt, just slow down and realize these are people, and they have families, and if we're going to have to screw it up, we're going to screw it up on the side of giving too much grace as best we can figure out a way to give somebody the time and clarity about how they can correct the issue. And now a critical moral failure, a core value breach, that's a very black and white thing. You got to leave, but they know that. But if we're talking about a competence thing and sanctioning incompetence, and the team's looking at them going, oh, they're not quite there, we might spend a little too much on the side of grace sometimes. I think just because we love people so much, but I'm actually proud of that. And what we've learned is that we can lean in and just giving them clarity, putting on a 90-day plan and putting it on paper and saying this is what's expected. So the last thing we want is for them to be surprised when that day comes, when they have to change their role or change the organization and leave. And so if you can eliminate the surprise and think, how would I want to be treated? I would want to know exactly what was expected. I would want to know I had every shot to make the turn. And then at some point, I understand, well, this day was coming. So I think grace is about making sure there's enough time and enough clarity, not about perpetually going, you can get away with this forever, and we're not going to do anything about it.
Grace is also you give them the dignity to affect the outcome.
Yeah, that's good.
So there's real clear communication that says, you're doing this, that doesn't work. We need to see this. This works. And so get to do this, stay. Don't do this, you don't. Now self-select. And the dignity's on them. You choose. And then sometimes they want to get to where they're supposed to go and they can't. And that's the saddest, because it's somebody that loves us and we love them and they're enthusiastic, but they just don't have the gray matter, or they don't have the skill set, or they're not who they need to be. They don't have what it takes to get there, and they're not going to get there. And they'll sometimes realize that if they're self-aware, and they'll just tap out. As one of our HR directors says, participate with the inevitable. But but it's just, there's lots of early communication and often communication, and it's gentle, no sarcasm, no blustering like I do up here on the stage. It's just me hanging out with one of my buddies going, dude, there's a problem. Gal, there's a problem here. Dudette, there's a problem, right? Whatever. But, and this is not okay, and this is okay, so how can we help you go from there to there? Because we are here. And if you want to be part of we, you got to be here. This is what it takes. And so, and some of those things are attitude adjustments, and someone can just decide, Some of those things are real basic things, and, you apparently don't care. So if you want to stay, you have to start caring. That was hard,
Chris, can you you did an emotional firing simulation with one of our board members the other day.
Who did you fire?
Well, Suzanne, who's one of our board members, fired Chris.
Yeah, Suzanne was picking on
Suzanne?
Yes.
Correct.
Ooh, that's
But
brutal.
It was brutal.
Y'all
Did you cry?
No, almost. I was close.
Y'all acted it out, and it was so powerful because the tone that was used, but the level of clarity that was used was remarkable. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think, in that example, as you're communicating with someone, I think it's really important to understand this. You have to be true to the business, and you have to be true to your team. So sanctioned incompetence is allowing someone to remain that is either unable or unwilling. And of the two, once you determine that as a leader, I think it's important to lean in. But with the emotional firing, what you're doing is giving a person a reality check. You're letting them know that this isn't going the way it needs to go, and something has to change, right? There's no chit-chatting around it. You're not skirting around it. You're being very direct. But one of the things that we say here, Dave has said for years, is to be unclear is unkind. And so you want to be kind to people, but you want to be absolutely clear. And you can do that without getting yourself riled up and angry, right? Because this person is attached to a family. So be clear, be direct, but again, value the business and value the team, but also value this person who may need to move on to somewhere else and go do what God's got for their life. You don't have to get mad to break up. You don't have to get all out of sorts. Remain who you are and be kind, and watch what happens. Even if that person has to move on, they're going to have so much respect for you and what you did do for them over the years that you still have an opportunity to have that friendship.
I want to give you guys a simple tool, because these conversations where I have to give somebody a reprimand or let them know their performance is off, I just don't like it. I get a little nervous and I fumble my words, and where I've screwed this up a lot is there's a big issue that has to change quickly or this person's going to have to leave, and it's a 9 out of 10. 10 being it's your last day and you're gone, and we're at a 9. But I don't articulate it in a way that gets their attention, and what they think is it's a 2 out of 10. And so I've literally used this tool where I go, hey, scale of 1 to 10, just so we're clear. 10 is this is your last day. We are at a 9.5. Does that make sense? Okay. Because for whatever reason, if I kind of just phoned it in, or I was a little soft, or I chickened out a little bit on getting really explicit about how it's not going well. It's on me if they leave the office thinking that they're at a 2 out of 10 and there's all this runway that they have to play with. It's getting down to like, this is about to be over. And that's when we say the emotional firing, it gets them ready to feel like, I got to do something about this or it's about to be over.
Well, and the reverse is true too, because we live in an anxiety-filled society. And so sometimes it's a 2,
That's
and they
right.
leave your
That's a great
office
point.
thinking it's a 9.
That's a great point.
And so you need to have some kind of alignment mechanism to say, don't freak out, minor adjustment, we're just going to turn left 2 degrees here, and you're going to be all right, But you got to do that because you're off. Where we're going is not okay, but this is a 2 out of 10. This is not a 9, because otherwise they go home, I'm about to get fired, whoa, and all this, and because they go into drama mode with the anxiety. And that really wasn't what we were trying to communicate either. And so, because people don't have these difficult conversations well, that's how Lencioni's whole book, Advantages, the organizations who have the mental health of the organization and do conflict well, have difficult conversations well, and with lots of clarity, have a huge advantage in the marketplace. Much more than a brand advantage, much more than a smart people advantage, much more than anything else. Because everybody else has got good brands and good people. Once you get to a certain level, you're playing at that. But your advantage is how do we handle difficult conversations and conflict internally.
Yeah, that's a great, letting them know it's a 2 out of 10, because we do conflict so much in our leadership culture.
We don't think anything about it.
We don't even think about it. Dave will say something and it's conflict, and I'll push back, and in our board, or like it's not even like something that these days we go, oh wait, are you mad? Are you okay? It's not personal. It's just a healthy last 10% of truth is getting said all the time. And so someone that's new, that didn't have that in a previous organization, just to let them know, like, this is a 2 out of 10, and this is normal, and here's why it's healthy. That's such a great tip.
Yeah, if a new guy sat in on one of our operating board members, he'd think we all hated each other, because we fight. I mean, we're really blunt in there.
Well, Chris,
we argue.
You told a story about that. You didn't tell it with Dave on the stage, so this will be really fun.
Now we'll see if it was a true story.
Easy, Alex. Easy.
The story about the book cover and the conflict surrounding that, and then the principle that you learned and that you extrapolated out of that. Can you tell that story?
Sure. Real quick, it was a matter of my first book, Retire Inspired, was coming out in 2016, and having a discussion about the book. And in my mind, I didn't need to have my picture on the book. In Dave's mind, I needed to have the picture on the book. And so we were in a meeting. There were 10 or 12 people there, and it was really set up like a showdown at the OK Corral, where Dave's at one end of the table and I'm at the other. And it was a short battle, but let me tell you how it went. And it was essentially, I said, Dave, I don't think I need my picture on the face of the book. And he goes, really? Why? And so I go through and we talk about this. And I said, well, and you didn't have your picture on your first few books. And so he went to his head, right? This is the technique where he's thinking and he's processing. He goes, you're right. He goes, but you do need to have your picture on the book. I said, no, I don't. I don't think it needs to be there at all. And so the tension rises. And he looks at me and he asks a question, do you trust me? Well, of course I trust you. He said, if you trust me, then you need your picture on the book. He goes, the mindset is around branding, and I got a chance to have an opportunity to understand. You want people to not only recognize the name, but the face as well as the content. And so that trust factor just goes to show that you get an opportunity to learn, but when trust is there, you can stop. The battle ends quickly, especially because you're leaning in and you go, I know he wouldn't take me in a direction that I shouldn't go.
Mary asked the question that when someone does depart, whether on good terms or bad terms, how do you communicate that to the team? And what level of detail do you share with the other people in the organization?
It's tough. It depends on the issue. I can think of a situation where somebody was really doing some really dumb stuff in their personal life, and the reason they had to leave was because of that, and it would not be fair to the team to expose them and say, here's all the stupid things they were doing. I mean, I wouldn't want that. If I wasn't there and I've got friends that are still at the company, this was a private, sensitive thing, and they're gonna work through it, and we wish the best for them, but I don't need to drag their dirty laundry in front of the whole team to justify to the team why they're not here anymore. And we talk to our team about it. We let them know, hey, there's different ways people leave. That's on this extreme. The other extreme is, hey, it's a season of life change, and we're going to clap them out, and they're moving on, and their husband is moving to another state, and they're going to go with them, and that sucks.
Always a good thing.
We love them, and they're moving. And so we're going to celebrate, and they can know the whole story on that one, because there's nothing sensitive that's going to hurt them to share it with the team. And sometimes it's kind of like, well, it wasn't working out, or it's a performance thing. And so we tell our team, hey, when somebody leaves, here's the predicament we're in as leaders. We want to protect you, but we also want to make sure that the person leaving is protected, right? We want to protect you if you're leaving. And we also want to make sure that as the team, you feel like you know what's going on, and it's not just this mystery of the rapture happened, someone's gone, where did they go?
Left
Are
behind.
we next? So I think we just walk this tightrope of how much can we share so the team does feel like we're as transparent as we can be, but we also expect them to understand and be adults that sometimes it's none of your business, and you need to trust your leadership team that we're making wise decisions. And if they understand our process, and they understand there's going to be time if they're off pace, and they know that part of our culture is you're not going to get surprised and come in Monday morning and all of a sudden you're fired and you hadn't been having conversations about it. I think when trust is high with the team, then you can also be delicate with how transparent you are on the situation.
And it just goes back to the golden rule.
That's
You
right.
do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. And I think as leaders, that is an ultimate, absolute principle you need to have, because it'll help you understand and navigate how to handle all types of things. Because you simply think, what would I want done if it were me? And it helps you to remain very clear.
So who's affected by them leaving? I mean, in a team our size today, you could be in a team and no one even on the other end of the building didn't even know you were there. And so I don't need to take that person, I don't need to take somebody on the other end of the building aside and go, oh, did you know Sally left? And I didn't even know Sally, so why would I know that? And, there's no reason. So who was affected? Well, the immediate team around them is affected. And so the higher the profile the person, the more you're looking towards a general announcement across the whole thing. And so, like, we've had a couple of operating board members leave over the last, we've had 4 leave since we started the operating board. One guy got multiple sclerosis, got MS. And so, if one of your top leadership team members is going to leave, the team needs to know why. And now you don't have to get, again, I'm not going to go down in the dirt of their personal life and say this, but, Matt walked up on stage with us, and we love Matt to this day. He's a good friend. I've worked with him for 20 years. And kind of tear up when I think about it. But he's driving home one day, and he couldn't find his way home. And he's 40 years old. And so he comes back to the office, and he gets an MS diagnosis, and he goes, he was our COO. He couldn't function. And so, he walks up on stage, and we all cry and tell him. And so they all know, and oh, by the way, we're going to mathematically, financially, Matt, you don't have to worry about Matt. We got Matt. I mean, he was one of my guys from the day one, and he ain't going to ever have a problem the rest of his life. So, so even though he's not here, he's here, and everybody knows that, and they see how we handle that. And then there's another one where the person, we try for 2 years to get them up to where they need to be, and they couldn't get there. And so we just have to share that when it's something at an operating level. Now, if they, slept around all over town or something, and we just suddenly discovered it, I wouldn't go into the minute details of that. I would just say it's a moral failure and move on, But if the pastor of a church just disappears one day because the board fires him and nobody in the congregation knows why, that assumes the congregation is not adult enough to understand what's happening. And so we tell our team, listen, this is grown-up talk, boys and girls. You're not in kindergarten. And so we're going to tell you what's going on, and we're going to give you enough information so that we've honored you in your position, but also honored the person that's leaving without trashing them. And so we're going to try to balance the tension between those two things, and we just say that out loud. But these days, the number of times that happens in an actual staff meeting over the whole company is almost 0.
Yeah, but we're at 800. I mean, I would say a lot of these people are at 50, 60 employees, and we probably, until we were around 100, we're such a family, and we did all know each other that it was the whole team would get together and we talk, and it could be super brief, But I mean, when you're family and everybody knows everybody, and you're gonna still be friends with them afterwards. Like you gotta address the issue. You can't act like it's just like life just goes on.
Yeah.
And with our team of 70 at EntreLeadership, we always have a conversation about it whenever it's someone on our team.
That would be a group that you would all notice if somebody didn't come.
Yeah. Sarah asked the question, can each of you name a person who has had a tremendous impact on you as a leader? What did they teach you, and what was the greatest impact they had on your life?
And I'm not going to say Hogan, so you can't say anybody up here. So there you go. I love Hogan, but I'm not going to say that.
I don't know. You could call this a cop-out. I don't like questions that are like superlatives, the best, the most. I think the best diet is the one you stick with. I think the best gym membership is the one you go to. I think the best book is the one you read. And so I've had so many seasons of life where I needed different things from different leaders. And I mean, of course, Dave's been amazing, but I could just go down the list of, my dad, my granddad, mentors, coaches, friends, different business leaders that I look up to that I don't even know, but I consider them a mentor by proxy. I think the key is that you're just constantly a sponge for learning, and that you never get too cool and you never get too smart to go, I think I've got it all figured out and I'm just going to hit cruise control. So finding one and saying this is the one nugget or the one thing, even if I had an answer for that, it wouldn't change your life because it changed my life. That's the season I was in at the time. So I would say the better advice would be looking for resources and mentors and leaders all the time as a habit, not trying to find what's the silver bullet in the one token advice that if I just find that, then I'll have it all figured out.
That's a really good answer.
Oh, that's a great answer.
What he said.
Now y'all can tell him the one leader that you look up to that gave you that one thing.
Yeah, right. No, it's like the whole thing of, I hear these guys say from stage sometimes, well, in order to get ahead, you need a mentor. And that you're like your life, they're the mentor for your whole life. Well, I've never found anybody that's good at everything. They're a great parent, they're great at their spiritual walk, they're great husband or wife, they're great business acumen. I mean, they're the whole package. I mean, Jesus, but other than that, I haven't found anybody, I mean, and so what I do is I find a guy or a gal that's really good at a certain area of their life, and I learn that area from them. And then I learn another area from somebody else, and it is conditional based on the season of where you are in your life and in your leadership journey.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that we are all the culmination of a lot of people pouring into us. And you can look at family, coaches, peers, all the way around. And I think it's just, it's amazing. You have a spirit of gratitude when you understand people saw something in you or cared enough to spend time with you. And I think the best thing we could do is do that in reverse. Make sure we're spending time with other people. And it doesn't matter about age. A lot of people look for mentors, or they look for someone that's older. No, not necessarily. You want to look for someone that's done something, that's done it in the right spirit, that has the right heart. And I think we always need to keep that mindset of learning, that we can grow. And I love what Daniel said about by proxy. Zig Ziglar was an incredible mentor to me for many years before I had a chance to meet him. And that's from reading the books or listening to the cassettes. So I think we all have an opportunity to learn and to grow. We just have to grab it.
Next question, we get this one on masterminds a lot within the coaching program, is how do I get my team members? What are the actionable steps I can take to get my team members to care about this business as much as I do? What would y'all say to that?
They have to have a reason to get out of bed in the morning that's bigger than a paycheck. Most people join a company because they're looking for a job, and as leaders, we have to give them a reason that's bigger than just a paycheck. Here's the work we do, and here's why it matters, and here's why it impacts the lives of our customers and improves the quality of their life. And you tell stories of the customers who are impacted, and we do this all the time inside Ramsey. We call this, it's this internal thing we call fans of our fans. We, as team members, are fans of our fans, and almost every staff meeting, somebody will come up and share a story of somebody whose life was changed as a result of what this organization did. And it reminds all of us, and I've been here 15 years, and I still get in this thing where I'm like, okay, the job, the work, the spreadsheets, the emails, and every time I hear a story, my brain turns off and my heart turns on, and tears come to my eyes, and I remember this is why we work. And that fuels in my spirit the energy to care as much as Dave cares about what we're doing. And you go, well, that's great for Ramsey. Y'all are changing lives. No, if you're in business, you're changing someone's life somewhere. And so if you run an HVAC company, you're helping people. You're serving people. And you've got customers that are writing in saying, thanks for a job well done. Our house is cold. Tell the story to your team. Let them know they're not just turning wrenches and installing ductwork. They're making houses cold for this family, and this family matters, and they have little kids, and we're keeping this environment and this home safe and conditioned, and like bring the stories into the team and let them know this is why we work. This is what we do.
I think it's hard to ever try to measure that you can get a team member to care as much as you do. That measurement of heart, to me, I think is unnecessary and a waste of time. What you do want to do is get people that care extremely deeply, people that'll go into battle for it. It matters to them. And the answer I would give, how do you get your team members to be that way and to feel that way? Involve them. I think there's a return on inclusion and there's a return on involvement. When the team is needed and you let them know they're needed and they're trusted and you empower them and give them the tools to do their job, and you're there to be able to tell them when they did something great and to dust them off when they fall down, you caring for them shows them that hey, I want you, I need you, and I see a future for us. I think that's a powerful way to get them to have a self-employed mentality.
Will y'all thank these three?